So since this is aspiring bodhicitta, I thought I would go through some of the precepts for aspiring bodhicitta in case people forget to look them over or didn't even know they had them. Okay? So there are 8 precepts of aspiring bodhicitta, although there's first a set of 4, and then there's 2 more sets of 4 that are combined to make 1 set of 4, but they're expressed as 2 sets of 4. Okay, so the goal of these precepts is so that we protect our bodhicitta so it doesn't decline in this and in future lives. Okay, so the first one, and this is first how to protect our bodhicitta from degenerating in this lifetime. Okay, we certainly don't want it to degenerate this life. So first of all, to remember the advantages of bodhicitta again and again. So you'll see all throughout the Lamrim, there's always sections on what's the advantage of this, and what's the advantage of this, and what's the disadvantage of this. And so, you know, the Buddha really explains to us what the advantages of something are so that we'll have some enthusiasm to go and generate it in our mind. So this is the same strategy that a car salesman uses, you know, or a laundry soap salesperson, or whatever it is. Here's the advantage, okay? And we go, oh yeah, you know, if I use this toothpaste, then this is going to happen, and that's going to happen. And, you know, we completely let this rubbish propaganda influence us. But we don't spend time thinking of the advantages of bodhicitta. So this is what we should actually spend our time thinking of, okay? So again, this is explained in the Lamrim. I'm not going to tell you now. You can look it up, or, you know, maybe good to think about it a little bit, see what you come up with, and then compare it to the text, okay? Then, second one is to strengthen our bodhicitta, generate the thought to attain enlightenment for the benefit of all sentient beings, 3 times in the morning and 3 times in the evening. Recitation and contemplation of the prayer for taking refuge and generating bodhicitta is a good way to fulfill this. Okay? So the refuge and bodhicitta prayer that we did, which was actually verse A1, okay? And verse A1 is refuge, and it's bodhicitta. If you think properly, when we say, may I attain awakening, you know, by engaging in the generosity and the other far-reaching practices, may I attain awakening for the benefit of sentient beings. That could be generating aspiring bodhicitta. That could also be generating engaging bodhicitta. Okay? But so there's that way to do it. But here in the 6th session Guru Yoga, we're doing verse A3, and so that's generating the aspiring bodhicitta. Yeah, so 3 times a day in the day, 3 times in the evening. Okay? And then 3, do not give up working for sentient beings even when they are harmful. Okay? So it's very easy to give up working for sentient beings. Yeah? We get really, really mad at somebody, and we say, forget this sentient being. You know, they're incorrigible. There's nothing I can do to help them. They don't listen to me, for God's sake. You know? For Buddha's sake either. You know? But they don't listen to me, and I've been trying to benefit them, in other words, control them, for a long time, and they just aren't following. Okay, and so very easy to get discouraged, to get fed up, to say, forget this sentient being, okay? Or when we really get mad, forget all sentient beings. Yeah, just forget them all. They're a nuisance, they're a pain in the neck. I just want liberation so I can get away from them. Yeah. It sounds like the motivation to take drugs or drink, doesn't it? Yeah? The people around me are a pain in the neck. I can't stand them. I want to get away from them. Glug, 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 glug. Pop, pop, pop. Yeah? But you can see that that motivation doesn't work. Okay. Yeah, so not to give up our love and compassion for sentient beings. And then the fourth one is to enhance our bodhicitta, accumulate both merit and wisdom continuously. Okay? So try and do practices that accumulate merit, offering mandala, making offerings, things like this, kind actions, and also accumulate wisdom, meditate on dependent arising and emptiness. Okay, because both of those will act as things that support our bodhicitta. Okay, so even though this is an aspiring bodhicitta, it's not yet engaged bodhicitta. We still need to support it, because if we lose aspiring bodhicitta, then forget engaged bodhicitta. It's impossible. Okay. Okay, then to protect ourselves from being separated from bodhicitta in future lives. Okay, because those first four kept us from letting our bodhicitta degenerate in this life, but we also we want to act in ways so that we can encounter bodhicitta in future lives and encounter teachers who will teach us bodhicitta. Yeah, we shouldn't take it for granted. How many people on this planet have never even heard of bodhicitta? Yeah, so if we want to really encounter it and learn about it in future lives, then we need to create some karma to do that in this lifetime. Okay, so the four remaining precepts are in two complementary sets of four, and so these help us to to not be separated from bodhicitta in future lives. Okay, so the first of the sets of four is to abandon four harmful actions, which are first, deceiving the guru, our abbot, or other holy beings with lies. Okay, now this one is also easy to do. It's like our teacher asks us a question and we kind of feel embarrassed because we didn't follow the instructions or this, that, or the other thing, so we kind of fudge the truth. Yeah? So it's not so difficult to do that. Yeah? But when we lie to our teacher, to our abbots, or to holy beings, are we really protecting ourselves or are we harming ourselves? Yeah, we're doing it because we want to protect our reputation. Is having our teachers think well of us our goal? Is that our goal in the relationship? Yes. I want to be popular. I want to be liked. I want to be smiled at and accepted and said sweet words to and praised and approved of and everything else. That's it, isn't it? Is that the proper motivation? No. Okay, it's our motivation, but is it the proper motivation? No. Okay. So, our motivation should be to form a relationship whereby this person, we're trusting this person with to guide us on the path. And to guide us on the path, they may need to correct us, they may need to reprimand us, they give us teachings, whatever it is. But if we're trying to look good in front of them and we're not being truthful, then how are they going to benefit us? Yeah, if we're putting on a front, here's somebody, finally we met somebody who really wants to benefit us, who's not just, a fair weather friend or attracted to us because we're good looking or funny or have money or whatever it is. We finally met somebody who really cares for us, but what do? We lie to them. Yeah? So who's getting hurt when we do that? Ourselves. Ourselves. Yeah. So the point is not about, what do we have a good image in front of our teacher? The point is, to be open and honest so our teachers can help us. Yeah?
In relation to this precept, I'm wondering about like active deception versus passive deception. Like when they put you on the stand and they say you promise to tell the truth, the whole truth. So like something that you think, I'm not sure how my teacher would feel about that, or maybe you think your teacher might disapprove of it, but it never comes up.
And you're going to make sure it never comes up.
Well, you're not like lying. It's not like the teacher asks you, in which case you would tell, but it's just like, I'm not going to go there.
Okay. So the kind of thing where, you're not sure how your teacher would really feel about something, but you don't bring it up and you make sure they don't. If they did, you would probably kind of, you make a joke, right, exactly. Make a joke, wiggle out of it one way or another.
I'm always telling you jokes now.
Yeah. Some way so we don't have to answer the question or, do this, that, or the other thing. But, it's interesting when we have that thing in the back of our mind about maybe I'm doing something that isn't really good for me on the path, and we don't want our teacher to find out about it. That's a very good example of relating to our teacher as an authority figure. What they don't know, they can't, it won't hurt them, and they can't disapprove of me. But what our attitude should be is, I'm doing something. I'm not so sure if it's something that's really conducive to get me where I want to go on the path to enlightenment. If I'm really unsure about if doing this is going to get me where I want to go, then I should ask somebody who can clear it up for me and tell me whether this action is something that will help me on the path or hinder me on the path. Okay, but why don't we ask that question? Because our motivation isn't really to progress on the path, it's to look good.
Or we already know the answer and we don't really want to hear it.
Exactly. We know the answer and we don't want to hear it, or, who knows what it is.
What the answer might be.
Yeah. Yeah, right.
Later.
Yeah. Yeah. But, that again is because, if we're afraid of what the answer might be, even if our teacher tells us to do something, okay, and our mind instantly reacts, I can't do that. You have to see if it's I can't do that or I don't want to do that. Yeah? Or if it's, gee, I aspired to do that, but it's beyond my capability right now, in which, fine, I aspire to do that, it's beyond my capability, but I hold that aspiration. Yeah? Or if it's just like, that is interfering with my pleasure. Yeah? And I don't want to hear anything that interferes with my pleasure. Yeah? Okay, I'll look for your note in my box, Tom.
Next point.
Yeah, next point. Okay. So the second one is to abandon causing others to regret virtuous actions that they have done. Okay, so this is another one that it's easy to do. Somebody has done a virtuous action. Maybe we're jealous of them because they did it and we didn't. Or maybe we wanted their attention and they were giving their attention somewhere else, doing this virtuous action. Or we wanted their resources, but they gave their resources to somebody else. You know? So all different sorts of ways in which we may subtly or not so subtly want to you know, discourage somebody who's done something virtuous. Okay? Because it interferes with us getting what we want, or it interferes with our ideas. Okay? And I remember one example. You know, there's this big Maitreya Buddha statue that they want to build in India. And His Holiness one time was saying it's very good to, you know, if also in all these Buddhist pilgrimage places, if we also help the native population and the people who live there, who are often very poor or landless or ill or whatever. So somebody once went to Khensa Jampa Chekchok and said, well, don't you think that instead of building this statue, they should build hospitals and clinics and things like this? And Khensa Rinpoche just said, His Holiness said it would be nice to benefit the people in the community. And the person said again, but don't you think it would be good rather than doing this to do this? And Khensa Rinpoche just repeated again, His Holiness said it would be good to benefit the people in the community. So you see, he wasn't at all, you know, because building the Maitreya Buddha statue is a virtuous action. He certainly was not going to tell somebody, don't do that, you know. It may be that some people prefer to use their money to help sentient beings rather than build a statue. That's up to that own individual's personal choice. Rinpoche wasn't going to tell them this, that, or the other thing. Okay, but he also wasn't going to tell them that building the statue was bad, or that they shouldn't donate to that. Okay, so it's you know, very, you know, some of these things can be quite subtle sometimes. Yeah. So not discourage somebody who has done something virtuous. You know? So, you know, oh, why do you want to go on that long retreat? You know, go on a shorter retreat, then we can go on holiday afterwards. Yeah? Or why do you want to give that donation to them? You know, we can use the money for ourselves. Okay? So to you know, really not impede other people's wish to do virtue. Don't do your meditation session now. Do it later. Let's go out to dinner now and come back at 10 o'clock and be too tired then, but never mind. Yeah. Okay, so then the third one is abusing or criticizing bodhisattvas or the Mahayana. Okay, so they say since we don't know who's a bodhisattva and who isn't, better not to criticize anybody. Okay, now what does this actually mean, not criticizing bodhisattvas, and why is this so bad? Well, if a bodhisattva is somebody who's working for the benefit of sentient beings, if we criticize them, it's like criticizing an action that is being done for the benefit of sentient beings. Okay, and since we as aspiring bodhisattvas, according to this verse, want sentient beings to benefit, yeah, we don't want to interfere with the actions of somebody who is doing that. Okay? Now, does that mean that we never say anything? Yeah. Especially, you know, we don't know who's a bodhisattva and who isn't, so I never say anything. You know, all sorts of who knows what's going on, but I don't say anything. No, it doesn't mean that. Okay? There are times when you know, who knows, all sorts of weird things are going on, And we need to bring it up and we need to talk about it at the proper time to the proper people and without being angry and judgmental, but talk about it for the benefit of, the people involved. Even if it is somebody who is a Dharma teacher or is, this, that, or the other thing, or has, the reputation of being somebody who, or has the title of being a tulku or a rinpoche. If something is going on that is against the general Buddhist precepts, we have every right to bring it up to them or bring it up to whoever it is, in a Dharma center or whatever. But not with the motivation of bad wrapping that person and grinding them into the dirt and, ruining them. Okay, because that's a motivation of anger. Okay. And then especially, when they say, don't criticize anybody, I'll just relay a little incident I had again with Lama Yeshe, because he would come to the different Dharma centers like once a year, once every other year, once every 3 or 4 years. And he, all sorts of people would come and talk to him for advice, but he needed to know what was going on in the center. And so I remember once when I was talking to him, he was asking me questions about some people and what they were doing, and I didn't want to say anything because they were doing something that I didn't think was so wise, and I thought, I don't want to criticize anybody to my teacher. And so Lama kept asking in different ways, and finally I said, I really don't want to criticize anybody. And he said, there's times when you need to tell what somebody's doing so that somebody else can step in and help them. Okay? And so then I told him. Okay? But, so you see, there's different situations like that where we need to say something so that somebody else can get help. One of our root bhikshuni downfalls is if another bhikshuni is committed a downfall and we don't say root downfall and we don't say anything about it. Yeah. So, we need to speak so that other people have the opportunity to purify things. But that's very different than criticizing somebody with an angry, judgmental mind and the intention to really trash them. Okay? Okay, then the fourth one is not acting with a pure selfless wish, but with pretension and deceit. Okay, so we should abandon doing that. So instead of acting with a pure selfless wish, wanting to benefit others, acting with pretension and deceit. Pretension and deceit are two of the auxiliary negative mental factors. With pretension, we pretend to have good qualities that we don't have. And with deceit, we pretend not to have bad qualities that we do have. Okay? So instead of really having a pure selfless heart and acting according it, pretending to be some great bodhisattva just so we can get reputation or offerings or something, look good. Or covering up our faults and pretending not to have certain negative qualities, negative traits that we have, again, so that we look good. Yeah. So here, to as much as possible to try and have a pure selfless wish. Now, sometimes it's really hard and we don't have one. Well, if we don't have a pure selfless wish, at least don't put on a show pretending to have one. At least let's not have pretension and deceit. Okay? Maybe we just have to be honest and say, well, if I were a bodhisattva, I would really have a pure selfless wish about this, but I'm not. and this is the best I can do at this particular moment, and I strive to, I aspire to do better in the future. Yeah, that's much better than putting on a song and dance show, pretending to be something that we're not. Okay? So now I have to confess something I did last year. When the alarm rang at 4:45 in the morning, sometimes I would get up, turn on the light, and then go back to sleep for 5 minutes and press the alarm again, and another 5 minutes and press it again, and probably got another 10, 15 minutes of sleep with the light on, so everybody would think that I was awake. Okay. I'm not doing that this year. But just because you don't see the light doesn't mean I'm not up, because I often meditate without the light on. Okay. But you can be sure if it's 4:45, this year, if the light's on, I'm out of bed. Okay, then the 4 constructive actions that we want to practice, which are the opposite to these, is to abandon deliberately deceiving and lying to gurus, abbots, holy beings, and so forth. Okay, so we understand that one. Be straightforward without pretension or deceit. So number 1 on the to-do list corresponds to number 1 on the don't do list. Number 2 on the do list corresponds with number 4, okay, on the abandon list. Yeah, so to practice being straightforward without pretension or deceit. Yeah. And then 3, to generate the recognition of bodhisattvas as one's teacher and to praise them, and that counteracts criticizing bodhisattvas or the Mahayana. And then the 4th, assume responsibility oneself to lead all sentient beings to enlightenment, and that counteracts the second one to abandon, which is causing others to regret virtuous actions that they've done. So you can see, because when we cause them to regret virtuous actions that they've done, then we're leading them away from awakening. When we assume the responsibility to lead them to awakening, then we're doing the opposite of that. Okay? 3 was to generate the recognition of bodhisattvas as our teachers and to praise them. So that counteracts speaking badly about them or the Mahayana. Okay? Yeah. So these, when we really look at them closely, they can be difficult to do, can't they? Yeah. And yet this is just the aspiring bodhicitta. But this is the whole reason why there are these guidelines, so that we know what to practice and what to abandon, and so that we can train our minds in doing this. Yeah. So be really happy. Oh, now I know what to do, how to train my mind. Instead of saying, oh, these are too difficult, I can't do them. Okay? But instead, take these as things that we are practicing, that we're training our body, speech, and mind to do. Okay? And if we take them like that and remember them all the time, then slowly we actually do train our body, speech, and mind. Okay. Any questions so far? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
In the Tantra vows and the root vows, there's one...
In the what?
Root vows, Tantra vows.
Yeah.
There's one that you shouldn't but when we don't should
This,
say, we should work for the benefit of all sentient beings. So when is it not good to work for the benefit of sentient beings?
so are you referring to the refuge guidelines or the
No,
the root tantra? Okay, so with the root tantra, what we're trying to do is stay away, not make best friends of people who criticize the tantra and criticize our tantric masters. That doesn't mean we give up working for their benefit. Okay, it just means that because our minds are not very strong, we don't become best friends with the people who are going to criticize our chosen spiritual practice, because we could be adversely influenced by them. Okay, this comes up in the refuge precepts as well. Yeah, but that doesn't mean we lack compassion for these people. It doesn't mean we don't work for their benefit. Okay, because we can still work for their benefit and still have compassion for them, but without making them, without being really close in a way that we can be adversely influenced by them, because our own minds are, we want to be popular and we want people to approve of us and like us. Okay? Anything else? Okay, then we'll go on. Then, verse A4. So this verse is from Shantideva. Yeah, I believe it's in chapter 3. We just read it on Christmas. So this is this and the next two verses are actually from, they're all from Shantideva. Okay, so spiritual masters, Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, please listen to what I now say from the depths of my heart. Just as the Sugatas are those gone to bliss, it means the Buddhas, of the past have generated bodhicitta. And just as they dwelled in the progressive trainings of the bodhisattvas, in other words, just as they went through the 10 far-reaching practices, those progressive trainings, so I too, for the sake of benefiting migrating beings, not to look good, will generate bodhicitta and will practice the progressive trainings of the bodhisattvas. So we're saying that, all the Buddhas and Sugatas and Tathagatas of the past, how did they attain full awakening? It was through practicing the 10 far-reaching practices and all the other practices and trainings of a bodhisattva. So just as they practiced that way and became Buddhas, I'm going to do the same practice that they did. Okay? And so we do this, saying that very clearly in front of the whole visualization of the refuge field, with Shakyamuni Buddha and all the lineage lamas and all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas and Arhats and Dakas and Dakinis and protectors and so on. So we're saying this in their presence. They're being witnesses to us saying something from the depths of our heart. As we say here, I say it now from the depths of my heart. Okay? And so to really, every day renew our bodhicitta in this way. The first time, so this is, and this is actually one of the commitments of bodhicitta. If we look at our bodhisattva trainings, one of them is to generate bodhicitta repeatedly in the day and the evening. So this, is fulfilling it here. Yeah. And so this is the engaging bodhicitta. And so we imagine when we're saying it that we are again receiving the bodhisattva ethical restraints. I don't want to call them vows because the word vow is too, people misconstrue its meaning. Okay? But that we're again recommitting ourselves and imagining re-receiving the bodhisattva ethical restraints in the presence of all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, with all the sentient beings looking on. Okay? And so when we do the visualization clearly and really think about what we're doing, it's very, very moving to do this, and we do it every morning and every evening, and so, you know, our bodhicitta really becomes firm in this way. Yeah. And then we take our commitment to try and, you know, become a Buddha for the benefit of sentient beings seriously, and it's not just a flippant kind of thing that we were saying because it sounds good or we were emotional that day or whatever it is. It's, you know, we're every day retaking this. Yeah. And in this way, by doing it, you know, and imagining that the light comes from all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas into us, and that the light is the nature of the Bodhisattva ethical restraints, and all that's coming into us. And, you know, then we really feel like, okay, I'm taking them again, and now they're pure again, and I'm starting afresh again. Yeah, and now I'm going to go forward with that same kind of enthusiasm I had the first time I took the Bodhisattva, you know, restraints. And so then you feel really good, and all the sentient beings are around you going right on, and all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas in front of you are going far out, and, you know. And so then, after we do that, in the next two verses, we rejoice. Okay? So having attained an endowed human rebirth, now my life has become fruitful. Today I have been born in the Buddhist family and have become the Buddha's spiritual child. Okay? So now, you know, our human life has become really precious. Okay? Yeah. I remember one of my teachers saying, now the fact that our mother had to go through labor pains and everything she went through to deliver us, now it actually has some meaning because we've taken the Bodhisattva ethical restraints. Now what our mother did was worthwhile, you know, what she went through. Yeah, so, you know, really thinking about that. Yeah, and now my life has become fruitful, so thinking, you know, my life is now meaningful. And I've been born into the Buddhist family and become a Buddhist spiritual child in the sense that I will grow up on my spiritual journey to become like the Buddha. Yeah, I'm the child that's going to grow up to become the adult. Okay. So, you know, then we can feel really happy about our lives. Wow, my life has not been wasted. I'm not perfect, but wow, my life is meaningful and it has purpose and I've done something really good. And I rejoice. Yeah? So it's very important, you know, at these verses of rejoicing, to really rejoice. Instead of going, oh, I just took them and I can't keep them. What am I going to do? This is too hard. You know, because that whole thing is just a thought, and it's a self-sabotaging thought. And it's a thought of pure, unadulterated nonsense. Okay, so get rid of it. Yeah. Otherwise, it's like you're saying to Shantideva, look, Shantideva, you are lying. My life has not become meaningful and purposeful because I took the Bodhisattva vows. I'm just this degenerate, you know, beep, 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 who can't do anything, and what you're telling me is a lie. You want to say that to Shantideva? Yeah? You want to tell him that he doesn't know what he's talking about? That this is too hard and you can't do it and your life is meaningless, and think about it. You know, because we get into those kinds of mental states sometimes, don't we? Yeah. And to think about it. Yeah. If Shantideva were right here in front of me, yeah, if Buddha were right here in front of me, would I really say, you know, you're lying? I hope not. Yeah. So, really see that all these self-deprecating, self-sabotaging thoughts are just that. Self-deprecating, self-sabotaging lies. It's not the Buddha who's lying, it's our own self-centered mind that's lying. Okay? And, okay, so A5 was taking joy in bodhicitta, and then A6, from now on, whatever happens, I will act in accordance with this family and will never sully this faultless and pure family. Okay, so this is meditating on conscientiousness. I took the Bodhisattva ethical restraints. I want to be conscientious, and I value virtue. I take, I value it. It's something important to me. Okay? And so I'm going to be conscientious about this. And, and not act in ways so that I bring disgrace to the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. Now, in an Asian culture, the group identity is very much an identity of the family. So you don't do anything that brings disgrace upon your family because you are part of this group and part of this group identity, and you take it very seriously. In the West, we don't forget group identity, forget my family. I don't care if I disgrace them or not, I moved out of the house a long time ago, and anyway, they were all alcoholics. We need to have a different kind of way of thinking, and to see that, that we have entered the Buddha's family in this way by taking the precepts. And we have some responsibility. And we have not just responsibility to other people, we have responsibility to our own selves and our own integrity and our own conscientiousness to act in accord, as much as we are capable of doing, with what we said we're going to do. Okay? So of course, as I always say, if we really could keep the precepts perfectly, we wouldn't need to take them. So we all know that we can't keep them perfectly. But here what we're doing is encouraging ourselves so that we try and do the best that we can. And that's what's important. We just do the best that we can. And when we make mistakes, we pick ourselves up and try again. Okay? But to really feel, quite happy, now my life has become meaningful. And when you think about it, it's true, isn't it? I mean, what a fantastic way to spend our life, to try and generate this intention. And even if we just do it, our bodhicitta is contrived or fabricated bodhicitta, still the fact that we respect and treasure bodhicitta and we think it's a good thing, that's really swimming upstream from, what the self-centered mind tells us to do, and with what most of our culture tells us to do. All the magazines called Self and I and this kind of thing, So, so to really treasure that and respect that part of ourselves that wants to practice in this way, and rejoice in how fortunate we are to be able to practice this way. Okay.